today we have our guest speaker or guest for this interview, Knut Johansen. Knut is the CEO and the founder of eSmart System. I think this is one of the promising startup in Norway, maybe in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very, very interesting company or startup. You are using artificial intelligence solution to maintain infrastructure.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So I think Knut is can give us some feedback about his background, what he think about the business sector, how business sector can integrate and how it can work with academia in order to build better future for Norway and for Europe in general. So maybe Knut, you can introduce yourself a bit and what's your background, academic background, and what you are doing now?
Yeah. Thanks. And first of all, thanks for the invitation and for letting me tell you about eSmart, which is something I really like to do. So when it comes to my background, I have a Master of Science degree from the University of Technology in Trondheim, and have worked as a research scientist for about 10 years before I founded the first company. And the last almost 30 years, I have funded and be a part of a startup scale-up companies within energy and IT, and especially AI, which we are focused a lot on these days. So that's a short version.
Yeah. But for me, this is maybe a bit strange. You said that you are have a master degree in science, and you work 10 years in academic field, like research assistants and researcher, but you ended to open your startup, your company. So
just to give you a little bit more background about that, I've worked very much with applied AI and applied IT, and very much in direct contact with energy companies around the globe. And so the kind of the innovation and R&D part of that was in the kind of the medium horizon, 2-3 years before you could use it in the market. So that's a very good background as I see it, to kind of dive into the startup and scale up area with innovations. So I'm really glad I had the opportunity to work for Institute for Energy Technology here in Halden for almost 10 years. So that was a good platform for the steps we took and also are working with now.
Yep. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about eSmart.
Yeah, I can do that. eSmart Systems, we started with a very strong belief in AI and the technology, especially because we saw in 2012 about that the computer power, the ability to handle enormous amount of data and the AI algorithms kind of came together in a kind of joint force, in the kind of nexus of the forces, if you like, and that it was kind of the main driving force for us to focus on developing AI for the energy industry. So we tested the AI on different areas, for example, more in the energy market direction, and then optimizing local power and solar power and flexible load and that type of things. And we also focused quite a lot on the electric vehicles and how we could kind of implement that in the energy system. And finally, we focused a lot on using the technology on infrastructure like power lines and power assets. And after we have tested different directions, we ended up with focusing on the infrastructure part, and especially the power assets, as I said, simply because the absolutely largest asset we have in the world is the transmission grid. Is the 37 million kilometers with transmission grid in the world, and that's an enormous market for eSmart. And as you know, innovation is two things. It's kind of the technology itself, or what you focus on to develop as a product, and it's the business model connected to that product. So that's for me is the definition of innovation, and that means that you need to also make sure that you are able to find a market and find the business model for bringing that innovation into the market, and we've done that. It's I need 1 minute, in fact.
Yeah, please. Complete.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I have a friend. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So that means that I mentioned the transmission grid, and underneath the transmission grid, you also have the distribution grid, and that, which is even bigger than the transmission grid, and we focus on both. So if you look at the market, it's as I said, a giant market, and we have as far as we know, we have the best solution in the market based on AI, and the core there is to detect objects and defects in the grid by using AI.
Okay, using AI, how you are monitoring? This is just outside the interview, but it's just for my interest.
Yeah.
How you are monitoring the grid using AI?
The way we do it is, you know, you have a lot of sensors and equipment in the grid measuring kind of current and voltages and all that. So we also have that type of information into the system, but the main part is the visual information, like images and also infrared images and 3D LiDAR based images. So and we use those images as input to the models we have, the AI models, and we train the models to detect different type of defects in the images. And it's also a very important part of the application that, or the product, that we are able to connect those images directly to the assets, the real assets out there. I mean, if you have a image, it's just an image with pixels, but you also need to know where it is in the grid. So all that is in place, and we do that kind of identification also through AI.
Yep. It's very interesting project, I think.
It is.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I would like to come to a point that you highlighted, but maybe I will come to later, because you said that you need science, or you need code behind the artificial intelligence code, and then you link it to the business model in order to establish something successful.
Yeah.
But before I come to this point, I would like to ask you a question. You said that you are worked as a researcher for 10 years. You had or you have a master degree. So why you didn't think about continuing this process, getting PhD, go to the academia, and so on?
Yeah, it is. What I realized when I worked as a researcher was that I had a lot of brilliant colleagues there with brilliant ideas, but the ideas tend to be in the research institute, and and not out in the market. So I was kind of very motivated to try to get that brilliant ideas and brilliant software out in the market. That was my kind of main motivation, simply because it's a lot of top-notch people there in the research institutes in Norway. So we have a really highly qualified group of people. What we need in Norway is to link that more to business and more to grow existing business and establish new business. So I was kind of, and he's very motivated by that part, to be a part of the innovation process, but also bring it out in the market, and create a business around that ideas. And as I see it, the absolutely most difficult part of that is the so-called crossing the chasm, where you on the left side of the chasm has the innovation activity. That means that as a startup, for example, you are able to sign contracts with R&D departments in the big utilities. That's on the utility side. In that context, is techies there also, and you speak the same language, and it's a lot of enthusiasm around the technology itself. But the other side of the chasm is the operation. So from innovation to operation, that's the giant leap you need to be able to handle if you plan to bring a startup to a scale up, a successful scale up. So and the main challenge when it comes to that is that as I just said, that the innovation part, you have one type of customer. On the operational part, a completely different type of customer.
Yes.
The engineers in utilities, for example, they don't have a clue about technology and AI necessarily, but they are very focused on getting the tools they need to be more efficient to help them in their daily operations. So that means that you need, for example, very good subject matter expertise in the company that are also able to talk the language they speak on the customer side and understand the inspection as such. So we have worked very much with that, kind of bridging that gap between innovation and operation. So and it's really good to see that we have succeeded with that now. We have inspected more than 20,000 kilometer with the power lines in the US, for example, and we have detected more than 15,000 defects, and we have the AI-based system we call Grid Vision now out in operation with great success. So it's but that is the kind of the area I see where we have the biggest challenge when it comes to startup scale-ups.
Yep. Maybe I will use this point and return back a few years ago, when you decide to move from the academia to the business. You have a pure background in academia and research, and then you decide to go to the business based on your motivation to develop society using the AI. So how you did that? Since you don't have this experience in the business, how you succeeded to establish your first company or the core of the startup?
That is when I think back on the first startup we did, also as early as in the late 90s, where we developed the world's first power exchange, in fact, and delivered that to the Nordic Power Exchange. And after that delivery, we delivered it to California, to Germany, to France, and quite a lot of other places around the globe. And at that time, we had deep knowledge about the technology and also the area itself when it comes to power trading, but we didn't have a clue about business. So we were researchers, and it started from that starting point. And of course, when you do that, and we had a group of people with a lot of guts and a very strong ethical platform, and the teamwork was great, and as it is in eSmart. But we had to build up the business experience while we developed the company, so to speak, and that was a really hard thing to do.
mm,
So thinking back in that context, it is, I think it's a very good idea if you look at this kind of challenge from education point of view. It is to mix different type of topics in education, like financials, for example, and understand how the financial markets works, for example, how to do the investment and grow a company from that context, and the technology part, which is also a very vital part of this. So you have also people in the company that are able to understand more than just one kind of narrow
mm,
area. That is one thing I have reflected around, based on the because when I took my master, was 95% technology. So very good platform, but the business part was not there. So.
missing.
Mm,
It was missing. Yes.
mm,
So how many, if you calculate how many months, how many year you used or you lose to make this transformation? So if we
mm,
say, for example, when you're studying your master, you already get some courses related to business or so,
mm,
and you decided to make your business.
mm.
Uh, I think this would be much faster than what you did. So if you try to give us like a number in year, months for this
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, it is. I think it is um, some kind of different aspects when it comes to that question. And let me start with one part which is connected to the ability to understand what you are good at and what you are not good at, and what you need. And in that context, I think when we started up, we realized quite soon that we needed to add on people with that competences we needed, and we didn't have ourselves. So
Mm,
we're quite, I would say we lost maybe 2 to 3 years before we kind
okay.
of understood what we needed, so to speak. So that is. But I also think it's more, the other part of this is that if you start a company with that knowledge from the beginning, you are able to build the right platform from the beginning. Which is, for example, I have been a part of scale-up courses at MIT, for example, and followed Bill Olet, which is one of the great guys in that area.
Mm,
And a lot of the ways to think, for example, to focus on your beachhead market, to focus on your business, your minimum viable business product, as we call it, very early is important things to do.
mm,
And we, even if we did that in a way in the beginning, we were not kind of, was not focused. We should focus more on that part in the beginning. So it is. I think it's very good if you are able to combine that, the cross kind of cross fertilizing in a way, different type of topics, and have that platform in the beginning. That is a very good, the best starting point you can have.
okay.
Mm.
Uh, One question to this, I will return to this point, your suggestion about how we can link academia with business. But before this question, I would like to ask you, currently, do you have still link with academia, with university somehow?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have strong links, and we have continuously kind of we add on PhD students and master students, and we have done that since the very beginning. In fact, when we started eSmart. and that the effect from that is fantastic. It's absolutely the right way to do it, to bring in the students when they are in the final 2 years, for example, of their education or their PhD, and let them work with real problems, real challenges out there. Means for a business like eSmart that it's very easy to continue with the people who has been through that process. When they start working for eSmart, they have a couple of years with experience from eSmart, and they have also been able to test themselves if this is something they want to do, or they want to go in another direction. That means that the hiring process itself have a much higher probability for success also, because you have that process. So it's a lot of advantages by having a close collaboration between universities and businesses like eSmart. So
the eSmart go to the university, like the academic or the PhD students are based at university, and you are going to them with projects or idea, and they helping you, or you getting the PhD and the master students to eSmart and training them at eSmart.
It's in a way both ways for us. It is what we have used is called Närings PhD. It's a special kind of program for connected to the industry, where the Norwegian Research Council are the funders, so to speak, or partly funding the PhD process for the student, and that has been a very good way to kind of handle that type of processes for eSmart. So that's one way to do it, which we really think is a good way. So, but it's also other ways. But to mention one success in that context is the so-called Närings PhD.
Okay. And this is a research council project or program.
Exactly.
And it's umbrella link industry plus and the university.
Exactly. So you need both. You need to have a responsible university and professor for that specific topic, and then you need a business, a company that can kind of be the mother company, so to speak, for the program or the tasks or the student focus on.
Yes, but if I understand correct from you, this is a project. So you are applying for project for specific task, and then you have two head, one in business, one in academia, and underneath you there is PhD and master students are working. But there is nothing existing at the level of bachelor and master level. I mean fixed curriculum, fixed courses that standard at the university.
No, the program I just mentioned, the PhD program I just mentioned is I haven't seen similar kind of programs for masters and bachelors, and that's a very good idea. It should be something similar there, as I see it, because it's a very good way to make sure that you get kind of a very good fit between when the student are finished their education and they start in a company. So it should, that's a good idea, I think, to see if it's possible to develop that part also in the same direction. So that's.
But from your experience, since eSmart a large startup, and from your introduction, I can see that you are working in different countries and in Europe, in America, and in different countries.
Mm.
From your experience, do you think this such program like NARI, this umbrella that collect business and academia, is existing somewhere else?
I haven't seen it outside Norway, in fact. But what we have done, we have brought in people from other countries like Vietnam, like US, like France, for example, Germany, and into Norway, and they used the program in that context. But we haven't seen it in outside Norway so far. It could be that other countries have the same thing, but we haven't used it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So now I will return back to one of your sentence that you said at the beginning of the interview, that you need both. You need academic and you need business.
mm,
And you reflect a bit about that. You said that you lose 4 years, 5 years, because you don't have this background at the beginning.
mm,
So what you are suggesting in order to cover this gap
mm, mm,
in the current courses that we have at university?
mm. Yeah, I think first of all, we need a close collaboration between universities and businesses, and make sure that the incentives from the government are kind of right when it comes to that. One example is that it tend to be a little too much paperwork, so to speak, connected to this. And so you are kind of, you have a lot of disturbances for a business like eSmart. So it should be a more smooth process to do the Närings PhD type of activity. So one thing is to kind of help the government bodies that are responsible for this, like the Research Council, to kind of develop the program so it fit into the business part in a good way, so you can use it for the kind of developing the competitive advantage you need for winning in the market. So that is one thing, and I also think that in Innovation Norway, they have the so-called cluster programs, where they have business clusters, industry clusters around in Norway. And we have established two clusters, one for energy markets and one for AI, applied AI. And I think it's a good idea that to use that type of clusters much more direct in this context also. So you can kind of connect the clusters and the management of the clusters to the Research Council, for example, and make sure that you are able to exchange experiences and use the cluster structure to help businesses to increase their number of candidates through that type of programs. So that is something I really believe in, because if you have a business cluster, you have already the dialogue between, for example, companies focusing on AI, and all of them, today all of them need more kind of top-notch people from the universities into their business, and to use the cluster as a glue between the research institutes, the universities, and the businesses. It's really something I think is right to focus on and develop more around.
Yeah. So you mean that we use the existing sort of structure, this cluster things that connect different companies, and we try to hook to this cluster the university.
Exactly.
But yeah, please.
Yeah. So just to give you an example from the AI cluster here in the south part of Norway, we have kind of all the for example, the AI teams in Nail in Trondheim, partner Tromsø is also involved in parts of the activity here, and also the so-called NORA network with the quite a lot of universities kind of combined into a common force, so to speak. So the AI cluster we have here is an umbrella for all that type of, or almost all that type of institutions in Norway. But in addition to that, you have the business side. So you have the research institutes, you have the universities, and you have the business organized in a cluster. That means that
Yep.
you can have workshops in the core of what we are talking about now, and invite students, for example, to be a part of that, and iterate around ideas, and establish kind of new project based on that, where we include students in their kind of final part of their education, for example, master's work or PhD work. So that is something I strongly believe it's a good way to do it, simply because Norway have used the last 15-20 years to establish good clusters, industry clusters.
Mm.
So
We need to use it.
exactly. So it's
Yes.
I think it's a much better idea to kind of use the existing structure and strengthen that in a bit different direction than establish completely new ones.
Yes, I
So
agree. I
so
completely agree.
that's yeah.
Yeah. And this is good. Maybe I reflect about our project, the CloudEARTHi. That is, this interview is part of it. I think our idea in this CloudEARTHi is almost similar. We try to bring business sector, academia, in order to um, find a better way of communication.
Mm.
Uh, and we are focusing on some fields that is related to environmental science and big data.
Mm.
Uh, so I think this is a very good idea. But this idea, I think it's work for the high level research. Like you are looking for a special problem, you need something in your company to solve, and this means that you need postdoc or you need PhD students who have a good experience
Mm.
to jump and try to help.
Mm.
But if we start to speak about the level of bachelor students,
Mm.
what do you suggest for facilitating this dialogue between business and academia?
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting question, and also something we really should reflect a lot around, because it's important. But let me start with just to give you a brief introduction of how we think when it comes to AI, which is the core in what we focus on when it comes to
Mm.
technology. So you have 5 steps in an AI process you need to complete, or you need to handle to deliver a kind of AI with real benefits from out there in the reality, so to speak, or in the operation, as I mentioned earlier on. The first step is to collect all the data you need from the processes. In our context, it's about the images and sensor data from the grid, from the transmission grid, for example.
Mm.
So that's the first part, and
Yep.
that itself is quite complex, because it's huge amount. You mentioned big data, and a huge amount of data here. You need to handle that very fast. You need to handle that according to the security requirements you have. You need to handle that in the cloud. You need to deliver it and exchange the data with a lot of customers through the cloud.
Mm.
And that first step is you have a lot of uh, areas to improve if you see where the technology is today, where you can add on bachelor
Mm.
work, you can add on master work, and you can add on PhD work.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
And
Yes.
so if you go to the next step, the step number 2 is there you have what we call to get the data ready for the AI models. You need to enrich the data so you have enough data to train the AI models. And that step number 2, it's also about quite a lot of complex software where you are able to generate thousands and thousands of images you can use in combination with the actual images from the grid, for example, to have enough training data for detecting defects, for example, like flashed insulator or broken insulators or that type of things. So when you have done all the data AI ready, then and that box is also exactly the same thing. There you have, if you look at the Norway as a whole to strengthen the competitive advantage in Norway, that box itself is the same as the first box. You have a lot of things to do there, and on bachelor, master, and PhD work. So if you move into the third box, where you have the training itself, it starts to be more specialized. So in that part, it's probably that's where we have a lot of focus on the PhD level, simply because you need to dive deep into the tech. Yeah, so it's very important to understand the tech in depth. So that's the area where we focus a lot of PhD candidates, and also the fourth box, when you have done the training and have the kind of models ready for use, then the fourth step is to put the models and the algorithms into industry grade architecture. And again, there you have there you also have a very strong need of PhD candidates, because it's very complex, and you need to dive into into a lot of details and very hard kind of R&D kind of topics to be able to develop further that part. And the last part, the number 5 steps and the final step here is where you do where you deliver the outcome from the algorithms, like user interfaces, like kind of interfaces to all the databases and all that. And again, that's a very broad area when it comes to competencies and need, and there you have exactly the same as the 2 first boxes, where a lot of needs for bachelor, master, and PhDs. So it is so that value chain is something all companies in the world, in fact, need to focus on if their ambition is to deliver AI for industrial use. So that's kind of one way to describe the need, I think, and in our context.
Yeah. So in summary, you are saying that there is 2 types of problems: simple problems that enough for master and bachelor students for small project, and deeper problems that need researcher and PhD who can do the deep thinking.
Yeah. What we also see there is that some of the really great guys and girls we have in the company, they have started with a bachelor. They have moved into a master and ended up with a PhD
at the company.
Yeah,
at Smart.
in that context I mentioned now. So that's also a very good way to do it. So if you do that in a business context, it's a perfect kind of candidate for a job in a company. So there is no doubt about that.
I have still several questions actually, but I would like to return to this point that you have bachelor students finish his master, finish his PhD at eSmart. If you have a position at your company and you would like to hire someone, where you will looking for, who you will try to find. Uh, will you looking for someone who is deeply to the scientific problem, to the AI, to the data analysis, or you are looking for someone who is deeply in the business, who is oriented to the business, or how you choose it?
Yeah. The answer is yes, so to speak, because you need all of them.
Okay.
It depends on the position in the company. Just to kind of explain how we develop the product and release it to the market, you have a kind of different waves here. The first wave is if you start with the minimum viable business product and the functionality in that core. And but the next step is to enrich the functionality there and even add on more modules or big pieces to the product. And then you are into the next wave. And it's too late to start that wave when you have finished the first wave, so to speak. So you need to, and in a starting point on the first phases, you always need the innovation and R&D part in a business like eSmart. So that means that it's a lot of work on the product and releasing the product and different versions and new versions out in the market when it comes to the first wave. But at the same time, we need to have R&D activities on the next stage for the product.
Mm,
So to test different type of ways to the goal and see what works and not works and make sure that we have done the right choices when we move it into the product. And all that innovation activity is something we also have to do in parallel with the product delivery out there.
yep.
So that means that yes, we need the people who focus on the customer, the product, what we deliver today, and we need more R&D type / innovation type of thinkers that can prepare the next great functionality for the customers. So that is the way it works in a company like eSmart.
Mm, mm. But do you think, from your experience, did you had problem before with the mismatch of the skills of students or employee that working with you? Like you hired someone who is deeper in IT, but for some reason he start to create problems because he don't have this talent in the business, or
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And that is what I will say is a well-known problem in the industry, that if you focus on the technology and just the technology and don't understand the customer needs and the
Mm,
business the customer focus on, over time, it's a hard gap to bridge. So
mm,
if you are not able to bridge it yourself as an employee in a company. So I think to again back to the education and how we can combine things. If a very good IT person also understand enough about the business,
mm,
start with the development of that, I think that will be a very a good way to handle that challenge. So the best people we have had, and that's a reality the last 25 years, that I have seen that the people who understand the programmers, for example, who develop the software, who also understand deeply the customer needs, they
mm.
are highly valuable for the company because they know what to focus on.
Yes.
If you are a techie, it's always easy to love the technology itself and okay, the customer are there, but the main focus is the technology is something really exciting when the new technology and so on. It's not necessarily what the customer needs. So
Mm,
it is a combination there. It's very important to bridge that gap.
yeah. This is funny when you are saying that. Uh, this will bring me to a question again to reflect on this point. Did you find a problem, for example, with someone who is very intelligent? He is deep to the IT, and you give him or to her a project, and for some reason he just focused on that and he didn't care about the deadlines of the project. So he didn't care about the business model behind what he is doing.
Absolutely. And that is also one of the challenges when you are in the kind of in between product delivery and R&D. Because the more kind of research focus you have, the less focus you have on the deadlines, so to speak, because it's in a way the way it works. You are working with an idea or an innovation, research, and you don't really know what you will end up with, so to speak, the outcome of that.
Yes.
So it's, but in a business context, it's very important to do that R&D in a kind of with focus on how you can apply it on the reality. So that's a bit different focus if you compare with the more pure research. So that combination is very important to handle. So people with a heavy research background like myself, one of the other advantages I have that I've worked a lot with customers also as a researcher. So in that context we had deadlines
Yes.
and that pressure on us we needed to focus on. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge when you have great PhD people in the company with tons of experience and really top-notch brains, that they to also kind of make sure that we all focus on the main goal we have, to that, and that is that R&D should end up in a brilliant functionality for the customer with a great benefit from the customer. So, but that's not only something on the people with that type of competencies shoulders, is also on the company, because you need structures in the company to handle that, so people know what to focus on and know what kind of requirements they have, and so that's also a clear company responsibility to deliver that type of things. And we use a methodology in eSmart called OKR, objects and key results. That's the same methodology Google used from the very beginning, for example, meaning that you have defined clearly the objectives for the companies, the main objectives, and you have also defined the key results underneath those objectives, down to the teams, down to the individuals. So in that, if you do that the right way, then it's much more easier for all in the company to see where can I fit in the value chain and what I have to deliver to do my job. So that's not only on the each of the employee side, it's definitely a company responsibility to deliver that framework for each and everyone.
But of course, if the employee already has this skills, he will help you or she will help you.
Yeah, exactly.
I have 3 more questions. One of them regarding the environment at the academia. Sometimes when I speak with colleagues here or there or Germany or somewhere else, I think some of them they are say that here at university we train students with basic research, basic information, and we don't want or we don't need to give them such cross-disciplinary skills or some skills related to business. So can you reflect on this statement? Do you think this is correct, that the role of the university is just to give pure basic research or pure basic foundation of science?
No, I think, as I see it, the objective for the universities should be to kind of train and educate the students so they are best possible can handle a job in industry. If of course you have people who want to focus on basic research, and
Mm.
that's a different group of people. But when I say what I say now, it's in a business context what we need from the universities. So we need the best brains in the industry, focusing on the technology we need to have to have the best possible competitive advantage out there. So so I mean that. And back to the industry clusters again, and the collaboration between research institutes and the university and industry. In that context, if you kind of develop that further and then come to cover what we have discussed now, I think that can be an excellent way to make sure that the students, when they are finished, fit perfectly into a specific job in the industry and can contribute from day one. So
Mm.
I think that is something Norway should focus much more on when we move forward, simply because it's a race out there, and it's all about winning contracts in the international markets for a company like eSmart. And if you are not best in the world, you will lose.
Yes.
So it is so important. Even a niche we focus on, it's a lot of competition, and if we are not able to get the good enough candidates or prepared enough candidates from the university, it's not it's a disadvantage when it comes
Mm.
to being competitive enough out there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And maybe I can add not only in the business sector, but in other sectors. So if you a government institute and you are hiring someone at
Mm,
a government institute, which is a bit far away from the business, again, you need to have persons who have some skills
mm,
to handle problems.
mm,
Yes.
mm, exactly.
So, uh, what do you think about the main challenge to collaborate business skills in academia?
Mm. Yeah, a good question. I think it is if you look into the business itself, it tend to be a lot of very high activities in all parts of a business like eSmart, and to make sure that you are able to kind of free up or dedicate people to take care of what we have discussed now. It's one very important part.
Mm.
So that can be a challenge for a startup with limited resources and stressed resources. So that is something you as a scale up need to focus on, because otherwise you will when you kind of move forward, will be more and more difficult, and you will be hit as a company because you haven't focused on that early enough. So it's not easy, but you have to do that. So
Yeah,
that's one big challenge. From the university, if you try to look at it from the
universe site. Yeah,
yeah, then I would say that um, you need the professors and advisors in the universities that really understand the business also, that are motivated to work together with the businesses like eSmart and understand that type of needs we have. And again, some professors like to focus on the basic research, and that's a choice.
makes sense. Yeah,
But if you have that motivation to contribute in a business context, I think it's extremely important that also the professors and the advisors in the universities, they focus on establishing very good relations with businesses, and also see and try to do their analysis where the students and the programs can contribute best in the business. So it's a kind of from both sides. So if
mm,
you are able to kind of have that in place, I'm absolutely sure that you will have a very fruitful collaboration and with high value both for the university and for the
yeah.
business.
Because business try to go to the academia, academia try to go to the business, and they will meet somewhere in the midway between them.
Exactly. And one
Yes,
meeting place, network place, is the clusters I mentioned. So
yes, yes, I agree.
Mm,
Um, I have one question which is not so related to the interview, but it's a bit related to the project, the CloudEARTHi project.
Mm.
Uh, your company, Smart, is working with uh, big data.
Mm.
So, what do you think about the future of the big data? If we speak about future of big data for innovation, for green technology, for green shift.
That is, I mean, it's all about the data, as
Mm,
I see it. And it's crucial for all kind of activity to be able to meet the climate goals, for example, to have a net zero emission within a few years now. You really need to handle the big data and the data flow in the best possible way. So, and it's all about, as I said, back to the 5 steps for being able to deliver AI.
mm,
The two and three first steps there is about data.
yes,
And it's not easy. And if you look into the industry, different type of industries today, you will see that what they struggle most with is to collect the data and prepare the data for the AI. So to be able to do the green change and do what we need to do when it comes to the climate change, it's absolutely prerequisite to handle the data, the big data challenge
mm,
in a good way. So the good thing now is that we see a lot of good technology there, but it's still a huge amount of work to do.
challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I finished this part from my side, except that I would like to say that I am very proud of Smart. I came to Smart actually two weeks ago when I was searching for your name, and I said, okay, this is a startup, but it's a big company. So I am really, really proud of it. I wish you all the success, and I hope we can find this midway between academia and the business
Yeah,
somehow.
that's thanks a lot, Tom, and same to you. Thanks a lot for having me. It's great for me to be able to inform about what we do, and also your questions was in the core of what I think we need to focus on when we move forward. So thanks a lot to you
Thank you
also.
very much. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks a lot.